I lost my job at 65, and the worst part, my own daughter kicked me out. I thought that was the end until a stranger called and told me I just inherited $15 million. My name is Carol Donovan, and I never imagined I'd be homeless for 20 years. I was the first voice people heard at Langston and Hart. "Good morning. How may I help you?" I said it 1,000 ways with 1,000 smiles. That office was my rhythm, my place, my purpose, until it wasn't. That morning, I saw her sitting in my chair, young and sleek, her fingers dancing on the keyboard like she was born into it. Mr. Langston couldn't look me in the eye. "Carol, can we have a word?" "I already knew it's not personal," he said. "We're just modernizing. New systems, new faces." I heard what he didn't say. "You're old. You don't belong here anymore." I nodded like I understood, like that severance check, a joke, really could ever balance the scales. I packed up my life into a box, a stapler, a photo of Jenna, a mug that said "Best Mom Ever." I smiled at the young woman in my chair before I left. She didn't smile back, but I wasn't scared. Not yet, because I had Jenna. I had raised her alone when her father disappeared like smoke when she was 6. I became mother and father, breadwinner and bedtime storyteller. I worked through Christmas, skipped vacations, wore thrift store shoes so she could wear name brands. For college, I worked 2 jobs. For her wedding, I sold my car. For her house, I gave her the down payment. Retirement? I figured I'd work until my last breath. So I showed up at her door with that same old hope. She opened it with a polite hug and ushered me in past her granite countertops and smiling children. I told her everything about Mr. Langston, the desk, the check, the young woman. She rubbed her temples. "Mom, we really don't have the space." I offered the couch. "There's Richard. He works from home. The kids have school. It's not a good time, not a good time." She asked if I'd saved for retirement. My throat burned. I meant to. She looked away. That night, I slept in the guest room. She gave me a blanket and a towel like I was a distant relative passing through town. In the morning, she brewed coffee, avoided my eyes, and said, "I've been thinking. Maybe you could try one of those senior living places. Some of them aren't that expensive." I looked at my daughter, my world, and realized I was no longer part of hers. I left her house with a suitcase and nowhere to go. You'd be surprised how quiet the world gets when no one's waiting for you. I checked into a motel with the money I had left, not the kind with chocolates on the pillow, just a dim room with stained curtains and a faucet that never stopped dripping. I filled out job applications by day. Cashier, front desk clerk, janitor. No one called back. Not many folks are hiring women with gray hair and stiff hands. At night, I'd stare at my phone like it might come alive. Maybe Jenna would text. Maybe she'd say she was sorry. But her messages stopped coming too. The silence was long. The rejection was louder. And when the motel bill came due, there was nothing left to give. I rolled my suitcase down cracked sidewalks, looking for a corner of the city that hadn't forgotten me. The shelters were full. The benches were cold. The nights were cruel. I was no longer a mother, no longer a receptionist. I was just another woman sitting on concrete, invisible to everyone walking past. And then my phone rang. I almost didn't answer, figured it was a robocall or another reminder of something I'd lost. But something made me press accept. "Is this Carol Donovan?" A voice, crisp, precise, professional. "Yes," I said, cautious. "My name is Walter Pierce. I'm an attorney handling the estate of a Mr. Theodore Donovan." That name rang a rusted bell in the back of my mind. My father's older brother, a man I'd met once, maybe twice, a ghost from long ago. "I regret to inform you that Mr. Donovan has passed. As his last living relative, you are the sole heir to his estate." I blinked. "His estate?" "Yes, you've inherited approximately $15 million. $15 million. I gripped the phone like it might fall through my fingers. The city noise disappeared. The wind stopped blowing. Time held its breath. "There must be some mistake," I whispered. "He never wanted me, not when I was a child, not ever." Walter Pierce didn't pause. "The paperwork is clear, Mrs. Donovan. He left it all to you. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel empty. I didn't feel cold. For the first time in weeks, I felt something I thought I'd lost forever: hope. The next morning, I stood in front of a glass panel building that gleamed like something from another life. My clothes were wrinkled, my shoes scuffed, but I held the door open like I belonged there. Walter Pierce looked exactly like I imagined, a polished man with a practiced smile and eyes that had seen too many secrets. "Mrs. Donovan," he said, standing to greet me. "Please have a seat." The folder in front of him was thick. Inside were things I never thought I'd touch: property deeds, stocks with numbers that made my head spin, accounts with more zeros than I'd ever seen in my life. "Theodore Donovan lived quietly," Walter said. "He never married, had no children, didn't seem close to anyone, but he left everything to you, his niece." I studied the documents, my fingers trembling as I traced lines of ink that spelled out a new life. "I don't understand," I murmured. "He never cared, never sent a letter, never called." Walter nodded almost kindly. "People carry regrets. Some speak them, some let their will speak for them." I didn't know what to say, didn't know how to feel. This man, who had never so much as sent a birthday card, had just changed the course of my life. And yet part of me still ached because money doesn't fill the space your daughter left empty. But another part, older, bruised but still breathing, wanted this second chance. I had slept in cold motel rooms, begged for my daughter's kindness, eaten crackers for dinner. I was done suffering. I signed the papers, and just like that, I was no longer homeless. I was an heiress. The first thing I did wasn't buy a mansion or diamonds. I rented a small apartment near the water, the kind of place with soft light in the morning and a breeze that smelled like salt. In the beginnings, I stocked the fridge. I bought clothes that fit and didn't itch. I lay down on a mattress that didn't groan with my weight, and I slept not out of exhaustion but peace for the first time in what felt like years. I wasn't just surviving, I was living. Healing can sneak up on you. One minute you're holding your breath, afraid the good will disappear. The next, you're sitting in a spa chair, letting someone paint your nails like you used to do when life still felt like it fit. I looked in the mirror and saw her, the woman I had buried under worry and sacrifice. She was still there, tired maybe, but there. Then my phone rang. Jenna, her name flashed across the screen like a ghost from a house I no longer lived in. The first time, I let it ring. The second, I watched it. The third, I turned the sound off. The fourth time I answered. "Mom," her voice cracked, softer than I remembered. "Where have you been? Are you okay?" I leaned back, my view filled with the sea and a sky that didn't need anyone's approval to be beautiful. "I'm fine, Jenna," I said, calm. "What's going on? I feel awful about everything. I should have helped. I miss you." She missed me now. I didn't say anything. She filled the silence. "I heard about the inheritance," she added, as if it were a confession wrapped in concern. There it was. A month ago, I was sleeping on a bench. She didn't care then, but $15 million? That changed things. I stayed quiet. "Mom, please," she said, her voice tugging. I was overwhelmed. Richard lost a client. The kids' needs. I panicked. I made a mistake. I almost laughed. I had made mistakes too, like believing love meant never asking for anything in return. But I didn't hang up. I listened like mothers do, even when they shouldn't. "Let's have lunch," she said. "Just us." Maybe once I would have cried at that offer. Now I just looked at the waves and said, "Okay." I chose the kind of restaurant where the napkins were folded like origami and the waiters whispered when they walked. Jenna arrived dressed well, but not like a daughter coming to see her mother, more like someone preparing for a job interview she hoped to ace. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "Mom, you look incredible." "I feel rested," I said, sliding into the booth across from her. "It's amazing what sleep and peace can do." She ordered wine without asking, the expensive kind. I let her. "Oh, Mom," she began, her voice syrupy sweet. "I've missed you. I really have. I can't believe everything that happened. I was so wrong. I should have." I watched her, not her words, Her hands, her eyes, the way they flicked toward my purse like it might whisper bank balances. I smiled gently, the way one does when watching a child try to lie with crumbs still on their face. I heard about Uncle Theo's estate, she added, trying to sound casual. 15 million? That's just wow. I said, sipping water. Her smile twitched. So, what are you going to do with it all? Live comfortably, she laughed a little too brightly. Of course, of course. But, things have been hard for us lately. Richard's client left, and the mortgages, well, you know how it is. There it was, the ask wrapped in a sigh and smoothed with guilt. She leaned in. I was thinking maybe you could help us out just a little for the kids. The kids? The same ones whose house I wasn't good enough to sleep in? I put down my fork and for the first time, I wasn't the one asking. Jenna blinked when I said it. I don't think that's a good idea. At first, she thought I was joking. Then she realized I wasn't. What? She asked, her voice sharpening. Mom, you can't be serious. I am. Her face crumpled, but not from pain, from disbelief, like the rules had changed without her knowing. But we're family, she whispered. You have millions and you're just gonna let us struggle? I tilted my head, steady. That's exactly what you did to me. She froze, words caught in her throat. That's not the same. It's exactly the same, I said. When I knocked on your door, you turned me away when I needed warmth. You gave me silence. Now that you're the one knocking, you expect me to forget? Mom, please, she said, tears welling up. I had to make choices. I was protecting my family. And I protected mine, I said. I gave up my retirement, my future. I gave it all to you, but when I needed something back, I got a couch for one night and a list of excuses. She looked away, ashamed or maybe just cornered. But you can help now, she pleaded. You can make things right. I looked at the daughter I once cradled, once raised with every ounce of love I had. And then I stood, gathering my purse. Lunch is on me, Jenna. That's all I'm offering. She opened her mouth, but I was already moving. Take care, I said softly and walked away, out into the sun, into freedom. For years, I'd walked through life carrying her weight, her needs, her disappointments. But now I was walking for me. That night, I checked into a hotel with silk sheets and slippers by the bed. I ordered dessert first. I soaked in a tub until the water turned cold. And for the first time in my life, I was not the woman left behind. I was the one finally choosing herself. The next morning, I met with Walter again. Carol, he smiled. Everything's finalized. The money is yours, clean and clear. I nodded, still not used to the way those words sounded. What do you want to do next? He asked. That question sat in the air like a challenge because for the first time, I didn't have to survive. I got to choose. What do you want? Walter had asked. And I had paused, not because I didn't know, but because I'd never been asked. For so long, my wants were secondhand, handed off to Jenna, handed over to duty. I had forgotten how to even name them. But now I want a home, I told him, not a roof, a home. He smiled, like he'd been waiting for me to say it. So I went looking, not for granite countertops or 10 bathrooms, but for warmth, for something that breathed peace when you walked through the door. And I found it, a house by the sea, where the light came in like a friend and the floors whispered instead of creaked. There was a little garden out back, untamed and waiting for someone to love it. It reminded me of myself. I bought it in full, no mortgage, no papers waiting to be signed, just keys, mine. I unpacked slowly, touching each item like it had a story, because it did. For the first time, I placed photos on the shelves for me, not to impress anyone, not to prove I mattered. The doorbell rang just as I finished hanging the last picture. I knew before I opened it. Jenna stood on the porch, her eyes flickering from the front steps to the view behind me. Mom, she said. I leaned against the doorframe. Jenna. She stepped inside quiet, like a child returning to a house she once called home. This is nice, she whispered. It is. She didn't ask to sit. She just looked around like she was trying to memorize it all. You really did it, I nodded. SAOT, a good time,